welcome to my virtual cooking class. I'm excited to see you here. So let me know if you can hear me well, if you can see me well. I'm very excited to welcome you to my virtual cooking class this week. We're going to talk about baking and something sweet. So my name is Charlotte Habiger. I'm an independent consultant and director with Epicure. I'm also a scientist by training. I was a biochemist doing research in a lab. I studied the 3D structure of protein, and I am still very excited about learning everything there is to know about food and science. My goal in my cooking class is to help you acquire new habits or change your habits around eating, and it's the ones that you choose to change. That's why I present recipes. My recipes are all vegetarian or vegan, and I give you tips so you can substitute the ingredients with whatever you have in your refrigerator or pantry, and also that you can substitute it with things that work with your food preferences and maybe the habits you want to change. If there's any questions, anything you'd like to add, please do so in the comments. This is a conversation I'd like to start with you as well, so I'll be checking the comments so we can be sharing together. Let's get started. Today I'm going to talk about banana bread. Do you like banana bread? Do you like bananas? That may be the one ingredient we might not want to substitute in this recipe. Everything else is switchable. So I'm going to be using a product by Epicure. Epicure is a Canadian-based family-owned company, a female-led company as well. And we ship to Canada and the US. The reason I've chosen it is because as a biochemist, I study the ingredients of what's on the market, and I like to use all of their spice blends, herbs, and also meal solutions, and dessert and baking solutions. So what's awesome is you only have a couple ingredients in the ingredient list. The recipe is on the back, and you can substitute everything to make it vegan or remove certain items, and it's also gluten-free. Everything that Epicure does is gluten-free, so you have the gluten-free label here, and it's also GMO verified. So this is very exciting. It's a recipe that takes just a few minutes. Usually my children, I have 3 children who are 13, 15, and 20, and usually they prepare a banana bread every week, but I wanted to show you how easy it is to make. I'll give you a couple tips as well as how you can prepare it. There's so many things that you can do with banana bread. Who would have thought? So let me know, do you like banana bread? Do you purchase it in the stores, in the coffee shop? Our coffee shops right now are closed, so another reason to bake it ourselves. Do you like to bake it? What kind of recipe? Would you like to share the recipe you use, what you put in it? I love spices, so I really like spices, and I don't know really of many sources where you can get ethically grown or ethically sourced spices that are, no toxins in it, and chemical free. So we'll get started. It goes very fast, and I'll give you some tips about baking and dessert at the same time. Are you ready? So I'm welcoming you into my kitchen. I want to make sure you can see everything here. I can't wait to see your comments, your questions, your suggestions, your own links to recipes, your photos as well. And I'll remove this from here right now. So we're going to use this package. I'm going to open it, and I use our new kitchen scissor knives from Epicure, and use it to cut the back open. And I just follow the recipe on here. I follow it more or less depending on what I have at home, what's available at the grocery store, or what we want to put in it as well. So I'm going to follow the recipe and make a couple changes, and I'll let you know. So the recipe is to mash 2 ripe bananas. Honestly, I use ripe bananas, not ripe bananas, it's fine. I use either kind, so I'm going to just use these 2 bananas. And what I'm going to use to mash them is we have like a meat masher. I don't eat meat, but we have a meat masher with Epicure. And I'm actually going to use a knife because this banana is not so ripe. I like to use whatever bananas we have at home, so it's easier if I use a knife to take the skin off. So 2 bananas, we're going to mash them. I'm going to use this from Epicure. I really love it. Of course, the color, my favorite color is purple. And it's just so easy to, to clean it. It's good for avocado. It's a meat grinder, but meat masher. But you can actually use it for avocado to make guacamole. I'm going to use it for the banana to make the banana bread. So I'm going to mash this here. Of course, you could use a fork, or I just wanted to show you some about like how to use our masher. I don't mind if there's some pieces in my banana bread. It depends on you. If that drives you crazy when there's banana pieces in your banana bread, make sure you smash it like completely, right? I'm just going to do it in a general sense, because I'm going to mash it more when I mix it with the mix for the recipe. So I'm going to mash my banana. Do you have any favorite kinds of banana? I grew up in the Caribbean, so we cooked with bananas a lot. We have bananas that we use as vegetables, bananas that you use as fruits. Some bananas are for main courses, and some bananas are for dessert. How do people eat bananas in your household? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to know about that. So I'm going to put that in our mixing. This is our prep bowl. It's a very practical prep bowl, and we actually have a silicone lid for this, so you can put it away in the fridge, use it in any way you need. It's a glass bowl. So very, very practical for so many things. I'm just going to put my banana that I started mashing in here. Like I said, you can mash it more. I'm more of a scientist kind of cook. Like I said, I love food and science, so I'm more for practical, quick, easy, simple, yummy food. Now we're going to follow the recipe. I always like to beat it. I don't always follow it exactly. So we want to put 2 eggs and 1/3 cup of oil. So this is what I'm going to make my first change to the recipe. Instead of the 2 eggs, do you know what you can use if you want to make something without animal products? I'm going to give you a few tips. So I actually have a list here. I don't know if I could share it maybe on the group. There's a couple ways. Let me just see if I can get this for you here. Depending on the recipe, to replace eggs, you could use, it depends on if you're replacing them for a cake, for a meal, for scrambled eggs, or for, like right now, banana bread. You could use yogurt. There's also soy yogurt if you don't want to have any animal products. A type of tofu that replaces it as well. You can also use different kinds of oil or chia seeds as well. What's funny is you can use mashed bananas to replace eggs. That might not work in this case because we're making banana bread, so that's the only thing. And some people also add, let me just see here. You can also use a vegan milk, like a non-dairy milk, with an amount of oil too. So one thing is for sure, if you're replacing eggs by another item, then you might want to test a couple times because the texture might not be perfect. It will be yummy, but perhaps your first time you'll have to eat your cake with a spoon because it's not really fluffy the way you wanted it. So a couple tests, but once you've done the tests and it works in your oven or your microwave, then it works all the time. So it just means you have to kind of like fine tune it for yourself. What we do in my household is we use applesauce. It works really well for pastry and baking and a couple different things. So we replace an egg with 1/4 cup of applesauce. So I guess regularly unsweetened would be better, but we just get whatever we have at home is what we use. So the 2 eggs in my banana bread I'm going to replace with 1/2 cup of applesauce because 2 times 1/4 cup. I'm going to use our awesome prep bowls here that have measurements on them. Ooh. There we go. And measure it with that so I don't have to use a whole bunch of containers. I can have fewer dishes. So I added that in here. So instead of my 2 eggs, I'm putting 1/4 cup of applesauce for each egg, so half a cup of applesauce. Have you tried that before? Do you have other substitutes for eggs? I mean, vegan people would like this recipe, but also people who can't have eggs for different reasons, if they're not available right now where you are or for whatever reason. The next step for the recipe is 1/3 of a cup of oil. So I can use my same prep bowl to measure my oil. I'm using olive oil, but I mean, honestly, you could use whatever oil you have in your household or that you prefer. There are also substitutes for oil, and if you don't want to have any in your cooking. And then, of course, we need the mix, right? Don't forget the Epicure mix. You can purchase them from me on my website. We ship to the US and Canada, and also you can write me for more information. So I'm going to put that mix in here. And all you have to do is blend all those ingredients together. That's the fun, easy part, right? You can go and mash those bananas again, get it all ready. So what I'd like to share while I'm mixing this, I'd like to ask you for one, if you have your own way of cooking. How do you bake your banana bread? Do you make a big loaf, one big loaf? I'll show you how you can do that. Do you make a couple small loaves? I'll show you how to make that as well. Or do you like to do, for example, you do it with a muffin mold. You could make muffins with the banana bread mix. You can also make waffles. If you make a little bit of an adapted version of this, you can make banana bread waffles. You might want to add some liquid, like some kind of milk, non-dairy milk maybe, and you could make yourself some vegan waffles, banana mashed waffles. And remember, this is gluten-free, so there's no flour in here, no wheat flour. There's no additives of any kind, no coloring of any kind. The sodium content is there's either no sodium in our products or low sodium, so it's actually exempt of anything you usually find in store-bought muffins or food. So let me show you how I'm going to bake this. We're going to use our steamer. This is a steamer. It's our multi-purpose steamer. You might want to watch the announcements coming up soon for some new items from Epicure. We have our holiday gifts coming up soon, and every year we have some of them coming up. So at some point this fall, you should see them coming. You might want to watch my group and my page for news about that. But right now I'd like to talk about our steamer. So this is a multi-purpose steamer. It's silicone. It's very, very lightweight, easy to manage. It's awesome for people who just went off to college, for example, who got their first apartment. It's also good for children to use, or people who have joint pain. It's so easy to use. I actually really struggled with chronic pain for a while, for a number of years. I was invalid, and now I'm very functional again. Fortunately, particularly because of food. I made some changes with my food, but this is so helpful. So I know what chronic pain can be like when just one movement can hurt you all day. So these steamers I really like because they're so easy. You can make soup, you can make all kinds of dishes with it. You can also use it in the microwave to cook in a couple minutes. I use a regular oven right here, but I'm going to make my banana bread in here. It's kind of so much easier to clean and so much lighter than a big baking dish. We recently diminished and downsized everything we own. Our kitchen, everything, all the cupboards are halfway empty. Maybe 1/3 of them are full. So it's really, really nice to have a way to minimize and simplify our kitchen. And I find that with the steamers, and I was able to get rid of a lot of our older baking dishes. Of course, the ones that you care about, you might want to keep. So if you have any special reasons for keeping some of your bakeware, sometimes it's family or we have special uses for them. But if there are some you've been wanting to get rid of and you don't know which way, well, I think replacing them by some of these steamers and multi-purpose items it's a really good new trend way to go right now. I can tell you more about that as well. So all I have to do is put this, I don't even need any oil, especially that's what's good with the steamer, you don't need any oil. There's some in the recipe as well. See, I still have some of the banana pieces in here because I don't mind at all. It's not a problem for me. So some people, it really annoys them. That's fine. You can just make sure you mash it more perfectly. So all I have to do is just put this in my steamer here. And this is going to go in the oven for 40 minutes. Regular oven for 40 minutes or microwave for 8 minutes. If you haven't tried it before, you have to try it at least once, microwave cooking, right? So I'm going to put this in the oven. In the regular oven, you don't need the cover. Actually, it will dry it out if you do. And no, actually, it's the opposite. You don't need the cover, actually, so that it doesn't. That's the whole reason. And then in the microwave, you want to put the cover on it so it doesn't, like, maybe overflow or something. I'm going to put it in the oven here. And I'll be ready in 40 minutes, but I'm not going to keep you here for those 40 minutes. I want to show you something, another way that you can make the banana bread, okay? So one other way you can make it is we have these little small loaf molds. So it comes in a set of 4, so you can make mini breads, banana breads. If you come back onto my French group, I'm going to do this in French in a little bit, and we're going to use this. So I do my recipes in English and in French because I live in Quebec in Canada. And I wanted to show you, I prepared it early to show you right away. So I used our pan, our oven sheet pan, and you can make whole sheet recipe menus. That's another awesome cooking class we could do. But I made the banana bread in our muffin bowl that also goes in the microwave or the oven. In the oven, I like to put it on this so that, because it's so soft, you know, I could get hurt or something. So I like to put it on here so I don't get burnt, just to be careful. I'll just show you why, because if you put it in the oven, you could put it in the oven directly. Sometimes I do. But see, when you take it out, it's kind of clumsy. So if something falls out, you could get burnt, you know. So just be careful and put it on a sheet or something else to make sure it doesn't turn over on you. And this is what, these are banana muffins, banana bread muffins. You can make them all different kinds of ways. So that's 3 different ways that you can make the banana bread. I also wanted to talk a little about our spices, because I put on top of our muffins, I added some spices. Of course, you don't need to. They're already in the package. But I added one of my favorites from other fall seasons, which is apple pie spice blend. What's awesome is when you buy cinnamon in the stores, it's not actually always the same, the tree bark that you really would call cinnamon. It's kind of another family that costs less to produce. So with Epicure, it's the actual, real, true cinnamon. And when you smell it and taste it, well, you can tell. That's why I still have some left over from other years, because it's so concentrated. So it's the authentic cinnamon, and it's a blend of spices. So it's yummy. That's what I wanted to share with you today. I hope you had a good time. If you have other questions and suggestions for recipes to do together, I would love to see those. So you can put them in the comments. You can write me, let me know. I'm looking at having guests on the show as well. So I hope you have a great week. Take care, and I'm looking forward to seeing you very soon.